Use social media and stop letting it use you. That's one thing about a business. It's an equalizer. It's a game changer. Lock the refrigerator door. Do not let negativity have another bite. Don't feed it. I may stop at some period, but as long as folks acting the fool, got to talk about it. And one of the things you want to do as a business owner is to create barriers of entry. I'm not busy. I'm just in another era. If we know that women are carrying the burden, they should be paid more, they should be given more flexible work hours. We have to think like the successful companies. Welcome to the Marketing Pulpit Show. I'm Robert Gatewood, your host, and we are here every Friday at 10:30 a.m. bringing you the good marketing gospel. We're not saving souls, we're saving businesses, saving jobs, saving our community. Now, if I save a soul along the way, don't hold that against me. We'll just call that icing on the cake, because the mission here is to build strong businesses in our community so we can put our people to work. And we do that with business development, job creation, and service. Got to have that service. Now, if you find yourself at a business crossroads and not sure which way to turn, man, it's easy. Just turn on the Marketing Pulpit Show, because we're on a mission. It's not just about making money. We don't have anything against money, but when your mission is sincere and pure, the money will come. So that's one of my little secret sauces of marketing and business success. Yeah, we want the money, but we have a higher calling, because I'm telling you, sometimes the money is just not enough. Those long hours and being ostracized and can't get your sleep and your rest. Money can't solve that. But if you have that purpose, that higher calling, you're doing it for the greater good of society and your community, everything's going to be all right. I'm Robert Gatewood, and I'm your host, and I'm here every Friday. I am a business developer by trade. I have a company called Gatewood Marketing and Web. You can find out more about the company by going to gatewoodmarketing.com. And also, while you're at it, go to Marketing Pulpit, and you can find out more about the show. You can also watch the show live right on the homepage. Let's see, what else? I'm a business developer. I work with the Small Business Administration as a consultant in the technology realm. I help companies in the 8A program with their social media and web needs. Let's see, I'm also an adjunct professor. As a matter of fact, I'll be at Prince George's Community College on tomorrow. We're actually doing it by Zoom virtually. We haven't gone back into the classroom. At least I haven't. They gave us the option. Which one are you going to take, right? Go there and fight the traffic and park and cold, or just sit in your comfort of your computer. So I decided to do it virtually. So I do that. Tomorrow I'm teaching a course on marketing strategies for today and tomorrow. Been doing that course for 22 years. That's a long time. I must have started when I was like 5, right? Let's see what else. I've written a book. Matter of fact, I've written 2 books. One called Played in Full, and I wrote a book called Smarter Than the Boss. So I've, like the young folks say, I have a couple of receipts, but I'm always learning too. I never feel like you know it all. But what I do, I take the knowledge, I take the experience that I've garnered over the years by working with just a phenomenal group of business owners, and I take that and put it all together and package it up, and then we offer this service to other business owners using proven techniques. I don't want you to be our test tube. We try to use things that have been proven and tested. And that's what we talk about on this show. As a matter of fact, later in the show, I'm going to talk about how to start your own ecosystem. Man, I'll tell you one thing I have always admired about Google and companies like that. There's an old saying, they got your commenting going. Man, they have an ecosystem. They get you in that system, man, you can't get out of it, which is not necessarily a bad thing, because they provide valuable services. But you should be doing it too. If you're selling pies, you should be selling cakes. Selling cakes, you should be selling plates to put them on. Selling plates, you might need to sell dish liquid. But anyway, that's kind of an extreme example of how the ecosystem works. We're going to talk about that, how we can take your business right now and move it into profitability, expanding the lifetime value of your customers through using an ecosystem, a proven model that many large companies use, but up until now has been just unheard of or not spoken about when we're talking about a smaller company. So we're going to talk about baseline ways of building your own ecosystem We're going to talk about that later in the show. We're also going to talk about what are we going to talk about else? We're going to talk about our war in the workplace. People still acting a little strange out here. That lockdown itis is still real. You know, they haven't snapped back out of it yet. So we're going to talk about that. Also, we're going to talk about some regular items in the news. But before we get to that, I'm going to tell you about another old saying that I hear a lot about. It's called, an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. An ounce of prevention is worth a pound. Now, an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. Now, what that pretends is that the remedy to a problem can be much more costly than avoidance. The remedy is less costly than avoidance. In other words, you're going to pay more for the remedy than if you had just taken some preventive steps in the beginning. So I'm sure all of us have gone through this at some point in our lives, and I'm the poster boy for most of the things I've talked about. Many times I've done things and said to myself, man, if I had just taken care of this before it gotten out of hand, I could have saved myself some heartache, some time, some money. And sometimes it's something small and innocuous, but sometimes these could be life-changing, life-altering, and sometimes life-saving decisions. This pound of prevention, what is ounce of prevention versus a pound of cure? Let me give you some examples. Let's just say your house. Let's take your house, for example. You got that roof that's leaking. If you have taken some steps to prevent, then that roof, that water won't get down into your structure, start causing rot and all kind of damages. Your furnace, you didn't fix that furnace till it got out of hand. Okay? Sometimes you can have a car. You're not taking care of the tires. You're not changing the oil. You're not working on the brakes. If you don't take care of these things and take preventative steps, then the remedy is going to be much more costly and expensive. Let me keep going here. Many of you right now are working on a computer. You have security updates. You have all kinds of things that you should be doing. Firewalls, software, things that should be done right now along that line of, if you take those preventive steps, then you don't have to worry about these costly remedies that are certain to come. Your website, many of you have websites. Are you updating your plugins? Are you taking care of your security? I can't tell you how many times I get a call during the day where somebody says, oh, Gatewood, my website is down. I'm saying, do you have a website maintenance person? They're like, no, that was you. No, I did this website 5 years ago. You told me you had this. We can give you some tips. We can tell you how to maintain it and some steps you should take, but somebody has to be responsible for maintenance. Let's talk about your finances, your bills. Are you paying your bills on time, taking care of your taxes? If you don't do these preventive things, you're going to have some problems down the road. Your business, things like certifications. Hold on. Technology is great when it works. I tell you what, this is what we're going to do. We're going to take a quick break. So hang on a second. This is the Marketing Pulpit Show. I'll be right back in a moment. Don't go anywhere. I'm not busy. I'm just in another era. Lock the refrigerator door. Do not let negativity have another bite. Don't feed it. If we know that women are carrying the burden, they should be paid more. They should be given more flexible work hours. I may stop at some period, but as long as folks bag the food, got to talk about it. All right, we're back. We're talking about an ounce of prevention is better than a pound of cure. We're talking about preventive steps that we can take in our personal lives and our business lives that can prevent some costly invoices down the road. Things like paying our taxes, taking care of those things, getting those certifications, making sure we're paying our employees fairly. Take those steps now that will prevent us some costly bills down the road. And then also let's think about our own personal health. We need a healthy you for this successful business. Prevention versus cure. The prevention sometimes can be pennies. The cure can sometimes is immeasurable. Okay, the cost we're talking about. So let's watch our diets. Let's exercise. Let's get those checkups. So now, three culprits that makes this matter worse is fear, perfectionism, and procrastination. Those are things that are horrible, that almost prevent us taking these preventive measures. Fear of the unknown. I'm scared to go to that doctor. I'm scared to open this email that's telling me I need to update my systems. That noise that I'm hearing under the car, it'll go away eventually, I'm sure. Then you have that perfectionism. I'm not going to do it till I can do it right, till I get the right company at the right time. Or I'm going to just put it off and put it off. So what we need to do, one, replace fear with faith. Okay? Let's be more proactive and less reactive. And let's shun perfectionism and perfection and replace it with maintenance and preservation. In other words, folks, let's get it done. Now, we got an interesting show today. What we're going to do, we're going to take a quick break. We come back, we're going to talk about some items in the news. I want to say hello to a few people. Good morning, Platinum, one of the greatest comedians in town. She has a great show. She also has a shop, Destined Styles. Check her out. And thank you again for tuning in this morning. I want to thank everybody who's tuning in from Facebook. People are tuning in on YouTube. I see people are tuning in on LinkedIn. I see people are tuning in on Twitter. Anyway, this information is out here if you want to get it, folks, and it's no cost to you. But the cost of not taking it, go back to that saying, an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. Don't get to the point where your business is on life support, whereas all your customers have gone because you didn't take the steps to keep those customers, to maintain, because it gets a lot harder when you try to rebuild after you've already suffered a catastrophic loss from a customer attrition. So hang on a second. We're going to take another quick break. This is the Marketing Pulpit Show. I'm Robert Gatewood, your host, and we'll be back in a moment. I'm not busy. I'm just in another era. Lock the refrigerator door. Do not let negativity have another bite. Don't feed it. If we know that women are carrying the burden, they should be paid more. They should be given more flexible work hours. I may stop in some period, but as long as folks back the food, got to talk about it. Welcome back to the show. This is the Marketing Pulpit Show. I'm Robert Gatewood, your host, and we are here every Friday at 10:30 a.m. bringing you the good marketing gospel. We're not saving souls. We're saving businesses, saving jobs, saving our community. Did you know that about 54 years ago, Dr. Martin Luther King was assassinated in Memphis, Tennessee? That's a terrible milestone that's recognized this week. Matter of fact, it happened on April 4th, 1968. And so it's just a reminder of some of the hate and violence and how much we have to persevere to keep things moving. You would think that in this day and age, all we have to do is, like this tell you, to keep your nose clean, go out here and follow the law, and everything's going to be okay. Well, that was back in 1968. We still have some of those same demons in our society today. Some carry guns, some wear robes, not the kind of robes you think. But this was a sober reminder. Dr. King was assassinated he was on the balcony of the Lorraine Hotel in Memphis at 6:01 p.m. He was rushed to St. Joseph's Hospital where he died an hour later. He was in Memphis in support of a sanitation strike for African American workers. And there were 4 assassinations during that period in the 60s. John F. K. in 1963, Malcolm X, 1965, Robert Kennedy, 2 months before Dr. King in June of 1968, but 2 months after. Anyway, I just thought it was worth mentioning that we still, I'll tell you what the significance of it. We just nominated, it was just approved, confirmed, the first Black woman to the Supreme Court. Long overdue. But to hear some of the objections and objectors, it was like we were in a time tunnel. I could not believe my ears coming from people that were supposed to be senators of these United States. Oh, they're trying to paint her as this, paint her as that. But I say, we're not going to, people are going to be who they are. Okay, we can't control that. So I say, let's celebrate this moment. Congratulations to Ketanji Brown Jackson, the first Black woman on the Supreme Court of the United States of America. Now, what made it sweet was that she was actually the proceedings were presided over another African American woman, Kamala Harris, who's now the Vice President of the United States. So it's like we're in this this crazy land. You know, we got the first Black woman on the Supreme Court, first Black Vice President of the United States, but at the same time, we have a House divided in Congress. Only 3 Republicans joined in to vote yes. It was a tight vote, 53 to 47. Unlike a few years when Sandra Day O'Connor, it wasn't that long ago, I think she got 99 to 0. What has happened since then? Well, like everything else, this was not without fanfare. As a matter of fact, the DNC chairman, Jamie Harrison, I think he said what a lot of folks were feeling. He called the Tom Cotton, who was one of the objectors to Justice Ketanji Brown Jackson. He went on this rampage about her being lenient on terrorists by defending people who were in Guantanamo Bay, like they didn't have right to defense. That's built into the Constitution. And he had also been an objector to one of President Obama's appointees to the ambassadorhood. This young lady, matter of fact, she never made it because of some of the efforts of Tom Cotton. Well, Jamie Harrison wasn't harrying it. He really got fed up, kind of pushed him over the edge. He referred to Tom Cotton as a little maggot-infested man. Now, I must admit, I never heard that one before. I'm like, wow, a little maggot-infested man. Man, where have we gone as a country, ladies and gentlemen? Anyway, this is a business development show, but we don't live in a vacuum. But I did want to, matter of fact, I want to dedicate this show to Supreme Court, the newest Supreme Court Justice, Ketanji Brown Jackson. Congratulations. I'm sure young Black girls and women all over the country are looking up and saying, I can do it too. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And thank you for the people who voted and supported her. And the people who came up these divisive, racist tactics to try to deny this woman. Shame on you. Shame on you. Let's talk about some other items in the news. Work from home is another term now for work all the time. What happens now when you have this work from home, that, in other words, you're working from home on Zoom or got your computer hooked up through the system at the office, is that people don't know when to stop working. It has shown that people now are spending more and more time working because now they're spending more time between the online meetings when they're not in the office. You don't know when to turn it off. So work from home now has also become synonymous from working all the time. The top companies to work for in 2022 are Alphabet and Amazon. So it's kind of like what we've been saying all along, the high-tech companies and health companies, healthcare. Those are companies that are still hiring and paying the big bucks. The other two companies that are very good to work for, United Health Group and Johnson & Johnson. These are some of the, according to LinkedIn, these are some of the top companies that are ranked among the 50 best for career growth in the United States. Not really surprising, but these high-tech companies. Twitter, Elon Musk just bought about 9% of Twitter, and the employees are like, please don't come here. And then, of course, now the debate comes back up whether Donald Trump is going to be allowed to come back on the platform. So that's a story you want to watch. What happened over at Twitter. Let's see, tax day is coming up. I think you have until the 18th to get your taxes in this year. The IRS is tackling the backlog. They have a shortage of agents. And they're hoping to add about 10,000 workers to remove some of this backlog of people filing their returns and getting your refunds and things like that. So we'll see how that works. What else is happening on the tech front? Well, Uber is into its next phase of its app. Of course, Uber is a rideshare device. It and Lyft are the big two in this field. Where Uber is expanding it so that now you can start booking your train rides, your airplane rides, and things like that. Now they're not gonna have independent drivers out here riding around in airplanes and setting up your own train. But what they're going to be doing is offering the app so that people can use that technology that they have to book their flights, their car rentals, their train tickets. So that's going to be very interesting because it almost goes into that topic we're going to be talking about later on. We're talking about building an ecosystem. If you have the technology, the resources, and the base, you just keep piling on services. You don't want to miss that topic coming up later on. Also, many people thought that the pandemic would strike a blow to entrepreneurs, but actually, it's been a boom. The opposite has happened. 7% more business locations have evolved as a result of the pandemic. 74% of the counties in the country have added business establishments over the past 2 years. Now, part of that reason has been because of stimmy money, and things like that. The stimulus money was a big reason many of these for some of this growth. Now, we had a lot of discussions about this stimulus money. Of course, many people abused it. They took the money and went out and bought Lamborghinis and Rolex watches, and a lot of them in jail right now too. But what that stimulus money demonstrated to me is that there's a lot of brilliant small businesses out here that never got that leg up, that opportunity, because one of the number one reasons they weren't able to grow or even start in many cases because of lack of funding. But once you have money, you can make more money. That may sound cliche, but it is as true today as it was 100 years ago. That's why slavery, and people talk about reparations. You can't just give me a job today and say that all is well when you have this monumental, insurmountable head start. So I was encouraging people, look, if you have a business model that's viable and money has been your obstacle, then yes, let's get this money. But if you have, if you're just trying to get some money to pay bills and things like that, then I advise people not to do it. But anyway, this is proof. The numbers are bearing it out that businesses have prospered. More businesses, more locations, and much of it was due to the stimulus money. Let's see here. The trucking industry is in a flux. They have these self-driving trucks on one hand. They have not enough drivers on the other. And what is happening, many truckers have gone to what we call these driving schools. And they're trying to make this $100,000 a year that many people are waving out in front of them. But the turnover rate among drivers has been abysmal. About 9 in 10 of the drivers of these large carriers leave their job within a year. I didn't know that. I thought these guys were out there having a good time. Now, what does that mean? Many of them took these courses that was part of the package, training. And when they left, they were left holding the bill. So they couldn't just walk out the door and say, I'm done. Hey, I'm tired of this truck. I'm ready to go home and go to sleep. Well, you're not going to sleep with that bill hanging over your head. And many people have actually called it similar to indentured servitude. And some even call it a money mill. It's all like the student loan thing. And it is true, Walmart is offering up to $110,000 salary for truck drivers. Wow. Get my little cap on and get out here and deliver some toilet paper and water. Well, all right, folks, let's take another quick break. We come back, we're going to talk about war in the workplace. Some of the craziness that's still going on out here. We're not going to talk about Will Smith, but the ramifications of that slap that was heard, that not only heard and seen around the world, but it has been their reparations. It's reverberated. God, I can't get my words out. Around the world. And we'll talk about that when we come back from the break. So thank you again for tuning in to the Marketing Pulpit Show. Also go to our YouTube channel. We're a Marketing Pulpit. You can go to youtube.com/C/Marketing Pulpit. You can go to Facebook/Marketing Pulpit. You can go to Instagram/Marketing Pulpit. Go to Twitter/Marketing Pulpit. And you can go to our podcast also, Anchor.fm/Marketing Pulpit. We are all things Marketing Pulpit. Marketing Pulpit is a federally registered trademark and brand. See that MPI? That stands for Marketing Pulpit International. Branding, ladies and gentlemen, also is one of those components of this ecosystem we're going to talk about later on. You do not want to miss this because many of you are sitting on money. It's not always about you need to spend more money. Many times you just need information on how to better spend the money that you have. That's another reason we have this show. Okay. And thank you again, Marilyn. And good morning, Brother Brown, the greatest plumber in town. Glad to have you. Mr. Brown is doing some great things out here. He's not just a plumber. Mr. Brown he's a spiritual man. He's out in the community. He's a family man. I mean, we just need more people like Mr. Brown. Mr. Brown, you're a great example for people to follow. Glad to have you among our listeners. Let's see here. Let's take a quick break. We're going to come back. We're going to talk about some of these folks that are acting the fool out here. This is the Marketing Pulpit Show. I'm Robert Gatewood, your host. Don't go anywhere. We'll be back in a moment. I'm not busy. I'm just in another era. Lock the refrigerator door. Do not let negativity have another bite. Don't feed it. If we know that women are carrying the burden, they should be paid more, they should be given more flexible work hours. I may stop in some period, but as long as folks back the food, got to talk about it. We cannot control or predict what's going to happen to us on a day-to-day basis. We don't have crystal balls. We cannot control somebody cracking a joke about us. We cannot control somebody stepping on our foot. We cannot control somebody demeaning somebody we care about. But what we can control is our reaction. That is a power that we all have. And we should never, ever, as long as you live, abdicate that power. Now, I'm telling you, if somebody assault me physically, or somebody assault somebody that I care about physically, I cannot say what I'm going to do. I would like to think that I can use restraint, but I can't guarantee that or promise it. But words, not so much. It's power. Don't let anybody take that power from you. Thank you again for tuning into the Marketing Pulpit Show, and thank you for all the numbers I see up. Also, if you want to join the conversation or get acknowledged, just drop a note in the feed, and we will acknowledge you. If you want to shout out, just want to make a comment, or just let me know you're there, just drop in a hello to the Marketing Pulpit, and we will give you a shout out. We see a lot of folks tuning in from the various platforms. We're on Facebook, we're on Twitter, we're on YouTube, and we're on LinkedIn. And we also put up some of the blurbs on Instagram after the show is concluded. So thank you again, everybody, for tuning in and making this show the success that it has become over the past 12 years. Wow, that's a long time. My goodness, where does time go, ladies and gentlemen? Let's see here. Let's talk about war in the workplace. I talk about stakeholder relationships quite often. Stakeholders is anybody who has a stake in the success or failure of your business. And generally, these components, these ingredients work in concert. They support each other. We have synergy. They're like, freaking frat, working together. But every now and then, what we're seeing right now, we are seeing them come to blows, literally. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed, ladies and gentlemen. We started this segment about a year ago because so many people were misbehaving or acting abnormally during this lockdown. We called it lockdown-itis. We've been coining the phrase for it. But anyway, we started a segment called War in the Workplace, and I said I'm going to stop. Once civility returned, well, it seemed like we have a ways to go. We had the ultimate last week at the end of the Oscars when Will Smith slapped Chris Rock. That was the ultimate workplace violence. And it seemed to have had an impact on shows going forward. And I'm not sure if this was a direct impact, but the rapper T.I. got into an argument with a comedian, Lauren Knight. She was joking about his sexual assault allegations. And he goes up on the stage and takes her mic. Oh boy! I mean, comedians, man. If it wasn't hard enough already, what Will did not make it any easier. So this young lady, of course, T.I. he was denying allegations, and he was ticked off about it, and he got on the stage and said there was no blanking crime. There's nothing to charge me for or my wife. He's saying, shut the F up for a second, yada, yada, yada. And of course, the rapper, not to be denied, she said, ain't no bleep, bleep. Don't come up here and try to take my mic, yada, yada, yada. Man, makes you wonder, though, is anything going to be the same anymore? Like I said, I can't say that Will Smith slapped Chris Rock because of the pandemic, but he had never slapped him before. He hadn't slapped anybody else. He didn't slap that little rapper that's supposed to be entangling with his woman. What is going on, ladies and gentlemen? Is it lockdown-itis? Saturday Night did a spoof with Chris Red. He played the role of Will Smith. That was really a funny skit. And when he was doing one point during the skit, he actually made reference to the fact that why he was kind of, losing it. He said the pandemic, Zoom calls. So maybe that is having this impact. I mean, I don't have this. No doubt in my mind that it has impacted people on an individual basis. I can't speak for every case. For instance, at Wendy's, a manager poured hot oil on a customer after the customer complained that the food was cold. In Tennessee, 23-year-old young man named Darius Pritchett, 23, got into a verbal confrontation with a customer at a drive-thru in Huntington, Tennessee. The surveillance tape showed the shift manager went to the kitchen, picked up a pint of hot oil, walked back to the drive-thru, and poured it on the customer through the window. Well, there's two things wrong here. I think customers, and I'm definitely not blaming the customer, but I think people do take this food a little too seriously. Many of these instances, sometimes the customer was being rude. Sometimes they're attacking these workers. These workers are under a lot of stress. I want you to know that. So I'm never going to condone what the guy did by pouring hot oil on somebody. But just know, when you go to these restaurants, you go to these drive-thrus, you're dealing with a very stressed out workforce. We talked about last week where somebody went to a restaurant and the person put semen in somebody's salad. I mean, just know, as I said during my video a minute ago, we can't control what people are going to do. Now, we can control our reaction. And we can also prevention and cure. Some of these places you may not want to go. You don't want to frequent. You might start cooking at home, especially late at night. But anyway, what in the world? Wendy's again. A Louisiana employee was arrested for allegedly threatening a customer with a gun. I tell you what, when I was I used to be in retail. I was a merchandising manager. I was in the clothing business, and many years in the clothing business, in fashion. And so part of my job was to go from store to store, helping the stores how to merchandise and all this kind of stuff. I learned a few things about the clothing industry too. I learned how to hem a pair of pants and do a cuff and take in the waist. And I think I've had so many different types of jobs. That's why I can sit up here and talk about it. And you have an industry and a topic, I can talk about it. I've been in it. But one of the things that I realized doing that, retail is a tough job. Retails and restaurants. Man, I don't know how they keep workers. These folks should be paid $100 an hour. They're paying them sometimes under $15 an hour. But there were cases where young men and they were mostly young men. I'm sure women may have done it too, but in this particular case, I know it 2 instances specifically where they would come in and grab like armloads of clothing and run out the door. And one day I decided to challenge one young man. I kind of stood between him and the door. I'm like, you're not going to be taking these clothing of this nice company that has given me a job. The next thing I knew, I was looking down the barrel of a gun. Like, uh-oh. Well, of course, I was like the Matrix. I did a backwards flip over a table of blue jeans. I do remember that. But it just accentuates the stress and the challenge that's being borne by these people in retail. but it never justifies pouring hot oil on somebody. And the reason I brought it up because the young man that brought the gun to work, I actually thought about, I had never been a gun owner in my life. And that was the first time I actually considered it. I was literally nervous about going to work from that point on. So when I hear these stories about people doing some of these crazy things, we call them crazy, and I don't mean in a medical sense. I mean kind of bizarre. Sometimes there's some pent up frustration. You don't know what they've gone through, and that's why you shouldn't push people's buttons. If it's not that important, just keep moving. Keep it moving. Let's say a woman dies after eating synthetic gummy bears, the cannabinoid gummy bears online. Something about a gummy bear and cannabis just doesn't seem to go together to me. Almost like the thing that Mike Tyson's, he had some cannabis gummies thing where in the shape of an ear. This cannabis is the Wild West out here, ladies and gentlemen. Now there's a lot of money being made, but there's a lot of stuff going on too. This young lady ordered hers online, her gummy bears, like not gummy bears, they were gummies. And she fell ill. She went to the hospital and she died, and her buddy was in the hospital. Let's see, what else is going on? The teaching profession seems to stay in the news once again during this pandemic. Now this is an interesting story. A teacher resigns after a viral video shows him berating students. Now this North Carolina teacher, he was on, it's been on social media. He was having his temper tantrum. He told the students to put their phones away. The students laughed at him and kind of made a joke. And he went off. He said, you can go through life on the bleeping system and get your paycheck on the 1st and the 15th of the month, and my tax is paying for it. You can live your horrible life. I don't care. You could be another statistic. I don't care. Now, of course, the one of the young ladies in the classroom took her phone out and filmed the ordeal. Of course, she said she was afraid and she felt like the teacher shouldn't be talking to her that way. Of course, the mother said when she saw the video, she was brought to tears. Once again, ladies and gentlemen, I've seen too many things. Yes, on top of everything else that I've done, I'm also an instructor. Right now, I teach at the college. These are mostly adults. But a few years ago, we thought it would be a great idea to teach young people early on how to write a business plan. And so so they came to me, they came knocking on my door one day at the college and said, look, Mr. Gatewood, you ever thought about how nice it might be if we could teach these young people early about business? Of course, I'm thinking marketing pulpit, the mission of building strong businesses in our community, putting people to work. It's perfectly aligned with my mission. It was a no-brainer. Let's go. Woo, Lord have mercy. Let's put it, I'll give you the end of the story. I'm not doing it now. And there's not enough money on this earth to get me to do it again. You'd have to stick needles in my eyes, I'm telling you. It was a horrible experience because of some of the same thing that this teacher went through. I'm not justifying the teacher berating these students. He should have done like I did and said, look, I'm out of here. I can't do this. Some people, I can't speak enough about teachers. I think they're from another planet. I think they have wings on the back of their shoulders that we can't see. How you can put up with this from day in and day out? And the parents, they co-sign on what these kids do. They send the kids out there, and I think this one kid was so bad. We had like an assistant. So the assistant would kind of walk the kids back out to the pickup point for the parents. And so the teacher stayed behind, but we had an assistant. And so part of the assistant's job was when the class was over, they walk all the students out to the point, out to the front where the parents would pick them up. This one little guy was so bad. I'm kind of like I'm going to the bathroom but I actually walked. I had to see who was picking him up. I could not. I'm saying to myself, I can't believe it's going to be a human. This little guy was so bad. I cannot. I've never seen anything like it. So anyway, to make a long story short, I understand what some of these teachers are going through. I'm not sure if it was a racial incident or somebody just fed up. Parents, you got to work with your kids, okay? You really do. There's never justification to belittle children, to treat them like they're not human, and heaven forbid add in an element of race. But parents, come on. I'm not trying to, it's not a Bill Cosby moment either, so don't be getting mad. I've been there, ladies and gentlemen. I've actually been there. So we can do better. We must do better. Talk to our children. When you send them to school, tell them, when the teacher tells you to put your phone away, put your phone away. Woo! Oh, have mercy. Man, let me tell you. We got one more story. Then we're going to get into our topic for today. We're going to talk about a personal injury lawyer mowed down 4 people in a parking lot because of voices she heard in her head. Of course, she's been suspended from the Florida bar. I would imagine so. She was she was driving her car outside the Fresh Market in Florida on February 22nd when she allegedly began running people down with her car. Drove up on the sidewalk, ran over 4 people because of voices in her head. I guess I can't blame that on the pandemic. I'm not even going to talk about this story on the airlines. I just can't even talk about this one. This one is too. This is a little rated. A passenger was accused of, let's put it this way, accused of a Mile High Club by himself. Now you can figure it out. He joined the Mile High Club, but it was a solo act. I know your brains are wait a minute, Mile High Club, solo act, 4 times with a passenger next to him in the seat. You figure that one out. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the Marketing Pulpit. We're going to talk about, you ever heard that expression? People that got your company going, a person or institution? Well, we're going to talk about your ecosystem. I've always admired Google for that, if nothing else. I always say, boy, they got your company going. Well, it doesn't have to be just Google. If you are a business owner, you can do the same thing. Maybe not on the scale as Google, but I'm going to tell you how you can maximize your marketing prowess and you'll maximize your marketing money by creating your own ecosystem. So I put together an ecosystem for small businesses. You don't have to be Google or Facebook or Amazon. You can do it too. So hang on a second. This is the Marketing Pulpit. I'm Robert Gate with your host. We'll be back. And I'm not busy. I'm just in another era. Lock the refrigerator door. Do not let negativity have another bite. Don't feed it. If we know that women are carrying the burden, they should be paid more. They should be given more flexible work hours. I may stop in some period, but as long as folks bag the food, got to talk about it. All that glitters is not gold. And it simply means that just because something is shiny and pretty doesn't mean that it has value. But there's another side of this coin also that says that all this gold does not necessarily glitter. That means we have people out here right now among us who are doing some phenomenal things, but they don't get the glitter. Because to them, it's more about the purpose. It's more about the results. It's more about helping people. It's more about uplifting. And it's less about shining in the spotlight. So yes, there is some truth to the saying that all that glitters is not gold. But let's not forget also that there's some gold out here that's not glittering. And there are people They're doing their thing. Yeah, we have some people in our audience right now who are golden. They're just doing great things. They're not doing it for the glory. They're not doing it. You don't see them on Facebook. You don't see them out there doing selfies. And I have nothing against people doing great things, helping homeless people and helping old ladies across the street. But I also have a lot of respect and admiration for people who do it outside of the spotlight. You'd be amazed how many people that don't even get on Facebook. They don't have an Instagram account. So who celebrates them? Who shouts them out? How do they get their shout out? They don't need it. They're just doing it because it's what they do. So I want to say thank you to all those people. I know some of you who are listening to the show today. Thank you for tuning in today. This is the Marketing Pulpit Show. I'm Gatewood. My name is Robert Gatewood. I'm a business developer by trade. And you can find out more about me by going to, just Google me. Go to gatewoodmarketing.com. You can go to robertgatewood.com. You can go to marketingpulpit.com. So not hard to find. I'm also on LinkedIn, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter. But you can find me on the Marketing Pulpit. That's my brand of my company, registered trademark. And I'm going to have some water. This is not coffee, by the way. That's good. Good stuff. All right, let's see. We're going to get into our topic here. We're going to talk about ecosystems. Now, ecosystem. Let's talk about building a marketing ecosystem. Now, if you're a business owner out here, we're always looking for ways to increase our profitability and our viability. Usually that starts with sales and marketing, advertising, and so forth. And of course, providing good service. I've done many shows on the three-legged stool of marketing: advertising, sales, and customer service. I also give a topic on the 10 commandments of marketing. Well, now we're going to talk about something a little deeper about synergizing these various components. We're going to talk about the ecosystem of marketing, because I look at companies like Google, and I like to use that expression. Man, they have you coming and going. No matter where you go, they're going to get some money out of you, no matter what. But you have to have a system. It doesn't happen nilly-willy, okay? An ecosystem is a conglomeration of various interconnected products and services that complement each other, provide enhanced value to the customer, and increase loyalty and lifetime value for the provider. Now, I pick on Google because, man, they are the poster child of ecosystem. I've been using the term ecosystem with Google before it became popular in the nomenclature. Let's think about it for a minute. Google has search, they have Gmail, they have YouTube, they have Google Drive, Google Map, Google Meet, Google Sheets, Google Ads, podcasts. They got it going. They got it coming and going. You get into Google, man, I'm telling you, that ecosystem kicks in, and you become a Google, whether you want to or not. You get in there, it's kind of hard to get out. And you may not want to, because they're providing pretty darn good service. You need that Google Drive. I had somebody yesterday trying to send me a big file. I'm telling you, let's go Dropbox. Well, I have Google. I thought, wait a minute. If you have Google, you don't have to sign up for Dropbox, because you already have Google Drive. You just haven't used it yet. That is an ecosystem. Now, what are the characteristics of an ecosystem? Now, the underlying objective is lifetime value. Lifetime value is how much money somebody's going to spend with you during the course of your engagement. Sometimes we round it off to a year. How much money that person or that company is going to spend with you by doing business with you. So that's one of the objectives of the ecosystem, is to increase and enhance that lifetime value to get you to spend more money. Break it down in more layman's terms. Another characteristic is that these different components, they are related, they're interrelated, and they support each other. Okay, chicken wings in the front door, and hair in the back, and tire rims out front, and fiber courses in the basement. they have to be related, okay, to have a good ecosystem. Some people may say those items are related. The services, individual services, or at least some of them, have to have what we call the freedom to abandon the market. Now, freedom to abandon the market is a term I've been throwing around for many years. That simply means that, look, you're not going to outprice me on this, because if I stop selling it tomorrow, I'm still going to be fine. I could literally give it away and be okay, because on this particular product or service, I have the freedom to abandon the market. Okay? And certain items can be provided at a loss. We call that a loss leader. And each product and service is essential to ecological process. Those are some of the characteristics of a ecosystem. Just keep lifetime value in mind. That is the overriding objective, to get you to spend more money. That's what lifetime value is. What is the value? We bring in a customer. When we're doing our marketing and advertising, there's two acronyms we need to be aware of at all times. First one is cost per acquisition, how much it costs to get the customer. The other one is lifetime value. That's LTV. Now, the novice or the small companies, many of them, they're more, they might be familiar with the cost per acquisition, the CPA. They know they got to spend money to get money, but they're not looking at the long game when it comes to lifetime value. Too many small companies think they got to make that money right away. And they also think they got to make it on a one or two products, when you're not considering the possibilities of an ecosystem. Let's talk about some of the functions of a successful business and marketing ecosystem. First of all, you have to identify the needs and wants of your customers. That's marketing 101. Number two, you offer products and services to satisfy those needs and wants. Marketing 101 again. Engage in a customer acquisition effort based on those needs and wants. We haven't said anything groundbreaking yet. And of course, engage in an aggressive branding effort at all times. So you're saying to myself, well, shoot, I do those things on a regular. Well, this is where we start to deviate and start getting into the ecosystem. As you offer additional products and services as the additional needs and wants of that group of people that you have brought in or identified. As you identify additional needs and wants, you offer additional products. Okay. Then you interconnect the independent products and services so that they become interdependent components of a larger system. Let's pick on Google. You have Gmail. You have YouTube. You have Google Drive. They are interconnected. They use your Gmail account, that email address, and your username. Okay. Now, what you want to do to help foster this system, you want to build in disincentives for discontinuing any of the services. In other words, you want to make it uncomfortable at the minimum for discontinuing any of the services in this process. And you want to incentivize adding additional services. Let me give you an example. Let's just say, let me take a layman's ecosystem right now. If you're a baker and you selling cakes, and every other person walks in the door, they want pies. Okay, you add pies. And then all of a sudden you realize there are certain people that are allergic to gluten. And you say, okay, well, now I'm going to make a gluten-free pie. But all of a sudden you realize there are other products that people who are allergic to gluten might need. As you start to build your base, you offer a gluten-free turkey dressing. You offer a gluten-free this or that. you start to build this ecosystem, and they all support each other. You offering cakes. Now, somebody wants to get married. Now you offer wedding cakes. Well, the wedding cakes, you'd have a wedding now. These people that need weddings, they also need rental equipment. They need to rent the chairs. They need to rent the train, the whatever the people use. You have this ecosystem that you start to build. Now, some things just won't fit into the system, either for cost, convenience, the supply chain, or whatever. You have to make this system so that it works. Okay, now here's another pivotal component of this system, building this system. Offer a low threshold to get in. Now, this is a fatal mistake for many small companies. Your threshold to getting into your system is too high. You've got this product that you're trying to sell, and darn thing's $1,000. And most people, I know I'm not. If I don't know you, I'm not going to give you $1,000. I've got to get to know you a little better. I mean, you got a date first before I jump in the sack. In other words, you got to lower the threshold. Let's use Google again for an example. What does Google do? They give you a free Gmail account. You think they're doing that because they're Santa Claus? What does Facebook do? They give you a free profile. Woohoo! They're creating an ecosystem. That's what they're doing. That free item, or almost free, we call that a loss leader. I use my company as an example. We have an ecosystem. We have our marketing services. We have our web services. Our loss leader is our domains. We have domains only $9.99, some of the lowest in the industry. Because that is a low threshold way to get you into the system. Once you get at the domain, you got to have a hosting account if you have a website. Once you got a website, you got to have an SSL certificate. All this hacking going on, you got to have some website security. We have a system where you can build your own website with our website builder. Now you got to market this website. Now you call Gatewood Marketing. You can build your own system. Okay, this is called a marketing ecosystem. And here's another component. You have to be engaging in a cross-selling and upselling effort at all times. And we don't necessarily mean a hard sell. Sometimes it's just a matter of letting people know that these services are available by email, through social media, workshops. Just nurture them along. And of course, you got to provide excellent service at all times. Now, let's just say you want to start your ecosystem today. Let me tell you, this is what you can do, okay? You're a butcher, a baker, a candlestick maker. It doesn't matter. Now, I can't sit here and I'm not going to sit here and try to tell everybody in every industry, in every business, how to build an ecosystem. But I'm going to give you some basics on what you can do, okay? Take stock of all the items that you offer right now. When I say items, I'm also talking about services. Think about all of the services you offer. And ask yourself, are any of these services that are not essential to this ecological process that we're trying to build? You might just put them aside for a minute. I'm not necessarily saying you got to stop doing it, but we're trying to build a system here, okay? Do they support the greater mission that's going to help you enhance your lifetime value? Sometimes you have some products that just get in the way of this process. They need to go. Like we used to do resume service. That was in the way. That didn't help me one bit. I'm telling you. It just was in the way. We offer services right now that I don't even want to do, like business plans. I mean, business plans give me my hairline used to be right here till I started doing business plans. But they were a pivotal part of this ecological process. So we don't necessarily do them ourselves. We might outsource it. Sometimes you have to do that. When you look at the process, that wheel, of what it takes to get that ecosystem going, some things you have to do in-house. Some you may have to outsource. Some service you offer you might have to get rid of. Some items you have to give away. It's part of that process. Now ask yourself, are these services interdependent? Or do they lock? Or one going to lead to the other? Then I want you to do this. You got to find yourself a lost leader. What service can you almost give away to get people into the system? It could be a consultation. It could be, like I said, free, something that you don't mind. You got a lot of, doesn't cost you a lot of money. Because you got to be thinking long-term, lifetime value. Don't worry about that one little item you're giving away. You're going to get that back 20 times over. And the last thing I want you to be doing at all times is investing in your brand. This success of this process depends on you having a strong brand that people can trust. I'm not going to get into all of your 10, 15 items if I feel like you might be going out of business tomorrow, or if you have a bad reputation or shoddy service. Your brand becomes a pivotal important component of this process. Now, folks, that's going to wrap it up. If you have any questions or if you need any help with this, you can give me a call or go to my website and set up a free consultation. Be glad to talk to you about it. And if you have any questions about anything we talk about on the show, you can also go back and listen to this show afterwards. You can share it with others. You can go to YouTube and follow us, subscribe to our channel. We have a very thriving channel that's growing over there. Very popular platform on Instagram where we put out 1-minute blurbs of some of the highlights of the show. You can also go to Facebook, and you can also catch us on LinkedIn. And by all means, check out our podcast. We have a podcast now. It's gotten a little popular here. Put the information across the screen here. So go ahead and subscribe to the podcast, because many of you don't have the luxury of watching a video. You might just want to turn on your iPhone or your Android and just go to download and subscribe to the podcast. Now, once you subscribe, every time I put up a new episode, you'll get a notification, and you can listen to it while you're working out, while you're driving, while you're out in the field, while you're jogging. It just makes it a lot easier sometimes when you don't have the luxury of watching something on the video. Also, you can catch us on our YouTube channel, and we have the shows organized. Each show that we do each week, there's a playlist of all the shows. There's a playlist of where we separate out the sermon, what we call, like right now, we're talking about the EcoSystem. That will be part of a separate category. And we take those episodes and separate them from the full show. We also do an opening motivational monologue. Today we talked about an ounce of prevention and a pound of cure. We have a section or playlist of those. And we have some 1-minute moments. You can also listen to those. All that information is on YouTube, so it's a great vehicle if you're trying to be successful in your business. And we have some tools there for you. That's going to wrap up the show for today, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you again, as always. Thank you, Mr. Brown. Thank you, Marilyn. Thank you, everybody else who's tuning in. I see your names. Thank you, Marissa, and everybody else who's tuning in. We'll be back next week for another show. I'll be at Prince George's County doing a course tomorrow on marketing strategies, and I have two courses also at the end of the month. One on social media strategies, and another one called Networking Works. Just got to get this information out here, ladies and gentlemen. This is my mission, my cause, my raison d'etre, my reason for being. And as always, if you want to be successful, you have to do these 3 things. Matter of fact, Mr. Brown helped me out here. Mr. Brown, thank you very much for helping a brother out. See if I can get that up here. Mr. Brown got it down. If you want to be successful, you have to do these 3 things. Do the right thing, do it at the right time, and you got to do it right. Enough talk. Let's get to work. People don't understand marketing. You can't stop every time the money runs out. You need to come on and tell people why your service is different. Why is everybody so angry? Airline passengers biting the TSA agents. It reminds me of one of those zombie apocalyptic movies. And as a community, collectively, we're going to be taken more seriously if we have that strong economic foundation. Do the right thing, do it at the right time, and you have to do it right. Enough talk, let's get to work.